You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ at the Movies.
Hey guys, Bing is for doing, and what are we doing? We are doing another after show here at AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm Krisily Kennedy, and this is AFTERBUZZ at the Movies. And today's movie is Dark Skies. They're coming, so the trailer says. I want to introduce the fabulous co-host that I have with me today.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Deevy, the owner and founder of thecinnamasource.com.
Hi, I'm Kaori Takee.
Hi everyone, I'm Marisa Serafini.
Today we're going to talk about Dark Skies. I want you guys to give me your overall thoughts about the movies without rating it. No stars yet. No stars.
All right, overall, I thought it was creepy. It felt like Signs 2.0. And Signs was creepy to me. I think the writers and producers, they played on the fear of the unknown, and I thought they did that really well. But overall, this movie was creepy to me.
I thought it had some cool elements, a little on the predictable side. I thought it was rather entertaining, but not super entertaining.
Oh God, what am I gonna say?
I can't wait.
Oh, what am I gonna say? Okay, this movie was supposed to be scary. It was supposed to be thrilling. It was supposed to be a real surprise as to what's happening. They haven't really talked about this movie much. They haven't shown much about it, and so the audience is like, "Oh my God, what could it be? What could it be? It's aliens, and it's not scary, and there are birds flying into the window, but it's not scary like in The Birds." It was just I jumped twice, and the reason that I jumped was not because of what was going on screen. It was because they very, very smartly had a very quiet setting. Everything was very quiet, and then boom! And you're just, holy jeez, what the hell? And it had nothing to do with what was happening in the story. It just had to do with the fact that it was really loud after being really soft. So that to me is just a dirty, dirty trick, and I'm just not a fan. Not a fan.
Well, if you're listening or viewing, obviously you know that there's going to be some spoilers because we're talking about the movie as we've seen it, because we know that you've seen it with us. I want to preface me talking about this movie with, I have never seen a scary movie.
Whoa,
the only
what?
scary movie I've ever seen was when I was very young, and it was Candyman. And it tormented me for life, and I've never gone back.
Now that's a scary movie.
Okay,
this
so
not scary.
We get the email, Dark Skies is the one this week. I say absolutely not going to see it. John says you absolutely are. So here I am. I watched the trailer, I read, it's a horror movie, it's a sci-fi thriller, and I did not get scared once. So I don't know what that's saying.
Wait, even when they screamed, even when the music was like, ah!
I jumped once, and it was the first time that we see the object.
Me too, yes.
That was the only time that I jumped. So my question was, because then I went and did some little research on the movie, and it was director Scott Stewart, who is actually mostly known not for directing, but he's a visual effects man. So then it made a lot more sense to me in the movie. Before we get into kind of the story part, Keri Russell, who we normally see Felicity, fun, happy, The Waitress. I mean, she's been in a lot of great movies. Totally kind of a different role for her.
Yeah, because there was really nothing to do. It was no, that's not fair. That's not fair. The role of the mom is kind of interesting because here she is. The family is down on their luck. It's hard times because of the economy, and she's trying to take care of her kids, and these creepy things are starting to happen. And while she's busy worrying about real life problems like the mortgage and money and stuff like that, suddenly it looks like her son is going to need some serious psychiatric help, which is very scary for any parent.
Yeah.
So she did have a lot to play there, and I think she did a good job. I think she's a good actress. I totally bought into her and into her role in the film. I just wish the overall movie had served her better, because she did give a really good performance
Yeah, I
when
agree.
everything else around it just wasn't up to the same level as she was, I thought.
I agree. She had great acting. I thought it was interesting how Lacey, her character, was the only one that was always walking around at night by herself.
You're like, girl,
Yeah.
stay in bed. You hear
Right?
a noise,
Yeah.
tell your husband to get up. Stay in bed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
She woke up every night walking around
Yeah.
by herself. I was like, turn on a freaking light.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Why don't you just turn on the light?
Or how about you're worried that something bizarre is happening in your kid's bedroom? Have him sleep in your bedroom.
Exactly.
Keep him in your sight at all times. Don't set up a big technological thing downstairs where it's going to take you 15 minutes to get upstairs to see the alien as he abducts your kid. And on the same note, we're supposed to feel bad for these people because hard luck, hard times. Did
Yeah,
anyone
right.
else see that house?
I know.
I know.
Come on,
I
man.
thought
Like,
they
if
were having mortgage problems. Their house is cluttered with all this nonsensical things. Like, you don't need that much stuff.
Exactly.
All those
And-
picture frames.
and-
They had a lot of stuff.
empty picture frames. Creepy.
Right.
Not really. But also, if they had a smaller house and the brothers slept in the same bedroom, a lot of mysteries would have been solved. I think they were saying something about people who, feel like wealthy is the only way to go and be safe and whatever. We got to hang on to that big house. They would have been a lot better served if it had been a smaller house and the family had physically been closer. Just
The
saying.
one thing that I did appreciate about the movie was the family dynamic. I appreciated the story of the tension between the mom and the dad and the tension between the kids. Like, I appreciated that aspect of the story, but then felt like it lacked so many other important things.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I feel like horror stories always have that kind of cliche. So that's part of the predictability here is that oftentimes the husband is either suffering money-wise and the wife has to support. And it's always constantly like that. And the kid is always bitter. So I don't know.
So that was a predictable part for you.
For me, that was part of the predictable part, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. That I did like the family dynamic, and I thought that was a nice element at the end there. Like, if we stick together, we can fight the aliens. I like that, but I don't think they played the family enough. And what was the point of the bully friend?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't get that either.
Rat face. I was like,
Or the
he had
chick.
no
Or the
relevance.
awkward
Yeah.
porn scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
The first kiss.
more
No
porn, please, at
relevance.
least.
All of those were just very strange for me. And I did see that the producer of this was also the producer of both Paranormal Activity and Insidious. Now, I have not seen Insidious, and I think the whole world knows the premise of Paranormal Activity. And of course, they had to do the cameras and set up in every room, and it had that feel for me, which was kind of annoying.
Well, let's just put it out there. Paranormal Activity, awful. Insidious, brilliant. Insidious was a terrifying, terrifying movie. That's probably one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. I thought Insidious was just brilliantly done. It scared me. I mean, to the point where the things that were scaring me, I was sitting in my seat. I was there for a critic screening, so I'm there and I'm taking notes. And then, like 10 minutes into the movie, I dropped the pen and I was just like holding onto the clipboard. And I was like, oh, please don't do that again. I'm really scared now. Don't do it again, guys. So that movie I have ultimate respect for. Paranormal Activity is just a cash cow for Paramount, and it makes them tons of money, so I get it. But this movie, I think, kind of falls in between the two. It's better than Paranormal Activity, but nothing close to Insidious.
Okay. I didn't see Paranormal Activity or Insidious. It seems like Paranormal Activity was one of those simple movies that just blew up.
Yeah.
They didn't expect
Yeah.
it to be as good, and I think they were expecting Dark Skies to be good. It was very predictable. But I was just waiting for whenever we saw the aliens, just one of the characters just say, "Swing away."
I know, I was
Like,
thinking
just
that
take 'em out.
too.
And I really enjoyed J.K. Simmons. I loved him in
Love
Juno.
him,
He's
yes.
so usually dry. I'm a huge Law and Order fan, so he was on that a lot
Yeah.
as well. But this was a total weird role for him for me. It seemed like every time he spoke, I was almost bored. Even though he was the one giving us the information about the story, it just felt like he was. I guess that was his part. He's the creepy guy that follows aliens. But I felt like, I don't know. I felt like he was out of place in the movie.
I thought he was the best part of the movie somehow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about the older gentleman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought like, okay, it's finally making movie sense and it's entertaining and it's kind of like, oh, okay, the reason why he's itching is because of this. So I thought it was the pivotal, most interesting part of the movie was his character.
He played a good role. I mean, he gave the exposition, and that was it. Another thing for his character, when he mentioned that sometimes the kids do come back, it kind of made me think, what if he was the kid that came back? So,
Oh, I didn't go there.
Interesting.
Maybe deleted scene, maybe.
so I just kind of got that connection with him, like why he's still there and he knows about all of this more in depth than everyone else. But it was a minor role, but it was pivotal.
Yeah, I thought he was. Did you guys pick up on the other house thing? The house that the kid goes to make out with the girl?
Yeah.
Like, that was their original house that they moved from before they got into the big house.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like, when
at
you look at it, like, and that got me, maybe because I was stuck on the whole, affluence angle.
Well,
but,
that makes a lot more sense now.
That's
Yeah,
where
that really does.
he kept going back to the smaller house,
Yeah.
the eldest son, because that's where he kind of felt comfortable and safe, and that's why when she's having that meeting with the person who's going to buy the house, when she hears like that her son or daughter also was really sick when they were young, she immediately bonds with her, and that's why she's honest with that person, like, you can do better. She's been trying to sell their old house for ages, and she could have put someone else back in the same situation that she was in back then, but chose not to.
Look at you guys. I did
thought
not
that
get
was
that at
interesting.
I did
all.
not catch
didn't
that.
get
I hope I'm right. But I'm pretty sure I'm right.
It would make sense.
It would
Yeah.
totally make sense because of the way it ended and how it ended and how he saw the old house and thought he was there, and that would have been the first place that he would have also seen the Greys.
Right.
It does totally make sense. That's so weird that you picked up on that. I mean, not weird because you're smart, but
Well, I can walk and talk at the same time. That's really that's about it.
I have to ask about and like I said, I haven't seen very many scary movies. So, the way that they set up we don't know what it is. If it's a ghost, if it's an alien, we don't know what it is. But the way that they set it up, the first time the refrigerator is raided, and then everything's piled up, and like all these. Did anyone else find that completely unrealistic?
I did.
Okay.
I mean, again, to begin with, her walking around in the dark at night and then seeing all that. I don't know, just no.
I think they tried to relay the message that why each of the family members were affected differently individually was that it was just they had no control over the aliens. That no matter what they do, like the aliens are going to affect you, and you have no control over that. And I think they realized that at the end, that whatever we do and how hard we fight, that they're still gonna win.
Yeah, I didn't understand. There was the moment when I didn't understand what the aliens could and couldn't do, because I feel like this really wasn't explained, and maybe that was on purpose, I don't know. But initially, the alien gets in, triggers all of the alarms on the house, and everybody freaks out. Oh my God, all 8 at once, what could it be? Then the little boy gets outside without tripping the alarms. So then you assume, okay, wait, so the aliens can kind of beam in and beam out without tripping the alarms. So then at the end, when they're ready for the big showdown, like, we're going to stand up to these aliens, they board up the windows. But if they can just beam in and beam out, what's that going to
Without
do
opening
except make your
doors, right.
neighbors think that you're insane? That didn't make any. I think that was partly why I didn't connect with this movie at all, because it just didn't. In sci-fi, you can expect people to accept one thing that isn't possible, but after that one thing, you can't go. You have to stick with your rules.
Yeah.
And I feel like they didn't set up the rules, and they didn't. And even if they they didn't follow them here. So
I felt like at times I was watching two different movies where I loved X-Files. So I like sci-fi and I like those things and I like the whole alien encounter type story. But I felt like at times I was watching two separate movies. The parts where we see the aliens take over the people with Keri Russell hitting her head and losing 6 hours, I thoroughly enjoyed those parts of the movies. And then the parts where the refrigerator gets emptied and the cups and so I laughed at that. Like and this is supposed to be a scary movie. I laughed at both of those parts. Like, really?
And can we also talk about the fact that they know that aliens can control their bodies and make them do anything? So what do we do in that situation? Let's go buy a big gun. Let's have a big knife in our hand. When we know that an alien can take over our bodies at any moment and make us do things we don't want to do, let's make sure we're well armed for that.
And you know what's funny, you saying that, because when that whole end scene happens with the son, the first scene, which we think is going to be the ending, I believed more.
Me too. Totally.
Like, I almost wish wish it would have went there.
I thought that was the end. I really did, because that would have made complete sense. Because like, how dumb are you? You pick up a huge shotgun, someone takes over your body. Of course you're gonna kill your family, and then everyone in the neighborhood thinks you've gone, cuckoo because you've boarded up the windows. You're going to jail for the rest of your life. And then it wasn't the ending, and then at the end they're like, now they're living in a small apartment and they're gonna find their son somehow. It's like, you couldn't even get a job as an architect. You're gonna track an alien across space. What are you gonna
I gotta say, I agree they should have just ended the movie with the father having everyone
moment.
believe that the father did kill the family. But I gotta mention the name of the Greys, of the aliens. I thought it was interesting how they mentioned that if you see white light and dark black skies, you get gray. Mm-hmm. And I liked how they had that whole storyline in it, and I thought Greys was an interesting name just to call aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the other two, it was the Greys, the Insectoids, and what was the other one? I forget what the third one was. But when we start to see more of the aliens toward the end, did you think they were the same ones? I thought the ones at the end looked different from the first guy that we see. The first guy we see is definitely a gray.
And thin.
Yeah.
And almost like you could see through him.
Yes, but then at the end, I felt like
telling you, we saw two different
them
movies
together looked different. So then I thought, like, well, wait, are they trying to make us believe that maybe the Insectoids, the second group, that JK tells us we don't see that often, that they are the ones who actually came and took the kid because they look so different. But again, it's so muddled. It's like, it's hard to even take a guess at what the ending there was. But I thought they were trying to say that, okay, the Insectoids came second and the Greys were there first, and I'm exhausted.
You know,
It was confusing.
You know what I think would have made a better movie is if they had a different character for the father. The father was really annoying for me.
Oddly cast.
Yes,
Josh
very oddly
Hamilton.
cast.
Odd to see him in that. Nice to see him working. Good for you, but odd choice for the dad.
But even he was very skeptical the whole entire time, even though all these things were happening to him. I mean, there was blood running down his shirt, and he was still talking.
So calm.
They didn't clean it at all. It was, and then he goes to the old man, and he's still like.
I don't believe it.
I almost wish it was the movie that I thought I was going to see, where I thought it was going to be ghosts, and I didn't think it was going to be aliens. And if it was aliens, first of all, for a special effects guy, the aliens should have been much better. That's just my first qualm. But I feel like it could have been a better story if it was almost a ghost or something a little bit more paranormal as opposed to an alien. And if it was aliens, then why do sometimes they look like ghosts and sometimes they take you over? Like I felt like the continuity was off in the story of the takeover. Like with the birds and everything, it was like everything made you think something really dark, but then it was aliens, and I was almost disappointed in that.
But I think they actually did the aliens pretty well, because we never saw distinct features of the face of the aliens, therefore like no life, no soul, no humanity, and it let the audience use their imagination. It let them think how scary the aliens really are. Like, that's really scary, or that's not scary at all. So I think they did that well with the audience. The audience made it feel scary.
But I feel like they needed to do, because, I mean, I agree. I think in that situation, you have to set up certain parameters so the audience knows where they can try to figure things out. Because if you just can go wherever in your brain, then you don't even need to see the movie. Just think on your own. You need some kind of parameters set up. And I feel like this didn't give you any indication of, why the aliens were doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
They did the whole thing where they talked about, well, how would a lab rat look at us? And I thought that was really interesting, because then that made me think, okay, wait, maybe they're beaming in and beaming out or not doing it or whatever because they wanted to see how we react to utter fear and confusion and terror. But maybe not. Who knows? Like, I would have liked it if we had maybe one or two concrete things to know about this. Maybe something else that JK's character conveys that gives us a field in which that we could start to really speculate as to what they're doing and how to. I mean, the whole idea of how to fight them. Did that make sense to anybody? I
No.
didn't.
Oh, if the family's unified?
Yeah.
What
That
does
was
that
the
do?
cheesiest
That doesn't
thing in the
make any
world.
sense.
It was cheesy.
I think they needed to add more to that, because they're like, okay, you got to be unified, but how? And obviously, weapons aren't going to work.
So if you're a big happy family, the aliens aren't going to come take you. I
Which is
really,
ridiculous.
Don't let each other go.
That's crazy.
it was awkward. The one thing that I really wish they had done more with was the Sandman story. To me, that was more terrifying. It was more terrifying for me that these boys were walkie-talkieing the Sandman story, and all of a sudden the Sandman is now coming and talking. I think that would have been such a better movie had they gone with that. They went in too many directions, I feel like.
The boy, they were so cute. Were they not the cutest brothers?
Those kids were
They
great.
were cute together, yeah.
They were great. I loved that dynamic, that relationship
And
between
good
the
acting
brothers.
for
Yeah,
kids,
for
like, great
kids
acting.
especially.
By the way,
Yeah.
did you guys catch what was the reason for all the bruises? 'Cause
The aliens.
It was just like they were just beating them up like that.
They
What?
made marks.
leaving
They
marks
were
on them.
leaving
Okay.
marks on the body.
I was really appalled by that.
Because the older son is the one that had the branding marks, right? That they
Right.
just showed us pictures of, but
Right.
not on him. But yet
Right.
no one ever went anywhere else with that. It was like
Yeah.
there was a lot of loose ends and it felt unfinished and
Yeah.
it felt like they went in too many directions.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like JK, I would love to know, how did he know so much?
Right.
Yeah.
How was he affected? Did they still come for him? Like,
Exactly.
They didn't develop the right things, and I feel like some of the things were a little bit lacking.
Yeah, and also like you were saying before about the way that he was not believing what was happening, the way the dad wasn't believing what was happening, even though he was looking at it. In today's day and age, I think you have to be really ridiculous to think we are the only living beings in the entire galaxy. I mean, when you say I was abducted by aliens, it sounds ridiculous, but to say that other beings exist on other planets and maybe they're more advanced than we are and they can fly here and fly back, that's not crazy. That's
Depending on generation, I think that's a generational thing because I don't think my parents would ever believe that there's aliens.
Really?
But yeah, I totally believe that
tell them to
there's
call
life
me.
out- I feel
I'll
like
reason
it's a
it out for
generational
them
thing.
because just mathematically, for the entire galaxy to exist and we be the only sentient beings it's beyond ridiculous.
But why do they have to be evil all the time?
Well, yeah, that's
Just
the thing.
love your family and they won't bother you.
and then they'll leave you
Okay.
alone.
Lesson learned.
I guess I can sense it.
You can. Guys, if you're watching us on live or on YouTube, we love you, but we'd also love for you to go to iTunes. We want you to rate and comment, tell us what you think about our new movie show. If you agree with us or disagree, we do read your comments and love to hear them. We do have a nice group of rotating hosts that come in, so show them your love as well. And make sure you hit the subscribe button so you will know all the movies that AfterBuzz covers. So before we say goodbye to our lovely hosts, I want everyone to give me their ratings, 1 out of 5 stars. Marisa?
I'll start. I'll give it a 3 only because it did make me jump at some moments, especially when the security alarm went off. I grew up with the security alarm. I know what that's like. It is scary at 3 o'clock in the morning. That kind of got me. I did like the fact that it was eerie. I didn't like every time you saw it at night. I didn't know what to expect. It was different every night. Overall, creepy and eerie. I saw it once. That was enough.
I would probably give it also a 3. I was entertained by it. I like horror movies. I wasn't bored, but yes, it was just a filler time, a good time, but it was nothing concrete or like solid, basically.
I'm going 1.5 because
Ooh.
this was just I mean, the only times I felt affected by this at all were the cheap tricks using the audio, which
Yeah.
I can't come on, you got to do better.
I
than
wrote that down. If there wasn't sound, would I have jumped? I wrote that down.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have. You
No.
wouldn't have because at the end they do the same thing. They show the aliens again without the sound, and you don't jump. So it's just that kind of trickery. I feel like it's the Michael Bay emotional trickery where like I'm gonna trick you into thinking you feel something. That's what he does. And what these guys did was I'm going to trick you into thinking you're scared, but you're not going to be scared. It's not, it doesn't do what it set out to do. I think that the design of the first alien, the gray, I thought that was good. I thought that first reveal of him, I thought it looked great, but there's just so much more that could have been done with this movie that wasn't done. It leads some interesting questions, maybe. It raises some interesting questions, but it doesn't help to answer any of them or, yeah, I mean, you have to look really hard to find those interesting questions too. So yeah, sorry, 1.5.
I actually am completely agreeing with you on the 1.5 for some different reasons. For some different reasons, it being my second ever scary movie, I kind of wanted to be scared, and I will say that and then take it back the next time I am scared because I'll hate it and I won't sleep for weeks. And maybe this was the best scary movie to be my second because it kind of eased me into the world of sci-fi horror. But I don't think this can be called a horror movie, which it's marketed as one. And I feel like because they went too many directions for me, it wasn't effectively scary or that thrilling feeling that you get after watching a sci-fi and wondering, like, will aliens really come abduct me? Like, I don't feel like I'm going to go home tonight by myself and worry about that. So I give it a 1.5 stars. But I will say the acting, I very much appreciated and loved. Everything else kind of lacked for me. So.
Totes.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another AfterBuzz at the Movies. I would love all my hosts to tell you where they can find you.
Oh, well, you can find me at Kaorious, Kaorious.
You can find me on Twitter at Serafini TV.
And you can find me by visiting thecinemassource.com or follow us on Twitter at thecinemassource.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Krisily, and you can find all of us on Twitter at AfterBuzz TV. Check out all the other shows that we do because we do every TV show. I guarantee if you love it, we cover it. And join us next week for 2 more AfterBuzz at the Movies.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.